Zom 100 may seem like a run-of-the-mill zombie apocalypse anime, but in reality, behind a lot of the fun and silly plot elements is a story about what it truly means to be happy. Hello Funkers, Tony Funk here, and today we're going to look at Zom 100's philosophical lessons about happiness and what it means to be alive amongst the undead. There will be very mild manga spoilers that don't give much away, but if you're not into that, click away immediately. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead follows employee, Akira Tendou, after having worked for a black company, which is a Japanese term that refers to exploitative companies. After working for a media company under incredibly grueling hours for over 3 years, he finds himself freed from his responsibilities during the onset of a zombie apocalypse. Instead of panicking in the wake of the end of the world, Akira chooses to use this newfound opportunity to enjoy life and create a bucket list before he becomes zombified. This series, then, approaches the zombie apocalypse genre in a unique way, as it focuses on concepts such as freedom, boredom, happiness, and purpose, as opposed to revolving around survival. This series, then, is not so much about zombies, but rather the lessons every bucket list item leaves Akira and his friends along the way. The following are the 3 greatest lessons a zombie apocalypse can teach us about life. It comes as no surprise that what enables happiness is the freedom to decide what one does with their time. Akira Tendou's lot in life consisted of working and watching movies whenever he found himself at home, but unable to do anything of his choice due to his limited time. The social commentary behind Akira's elation upon finding out that the world was ending then was that when work comprises the majority of one's identity and time, one becomes truly dead. We can also see that Akira's work life is a caricature of Japanese work culture, where death from overworking, or karoshi, was originally coined. The first lesson, then, paves the way for more obscure nuances about how happiness as freedom is not the end-all be-all of living a happy life. Freedom, though necessary to cultivate happiness, is also a curse if not used properly. In chapter 30 of the manga, we see Akira become bored with his bucket list upon realizing that the attainment of every item did not make him happy. Akira then leaves the rest of his companions in order to ponder why he found himself struggling to enjoy his freedom. In doing so, he stumbles upon a lottery shop and finds several books on philosophy. Coincidentally, every page Akira turns to has a quote referring to the occurrence of boredom. Then, what appeared to be a zombified version of 15th century philosopher Blaise Pascal began to lecture Akira on the meaning of finding enjoyment in everyday life. Pascal likens desires to one who hunts for a hare, and I quote, "If you were to present a fresh hare to someone about to spend time and effort hunting one, they would refuse. That is because it is not the hare they want. What they truly want is the pleasure of escaping their own misery by means of some distraction." This means that freedom should not be viewed as a means to accomplish a set of tasks, but rather as a means to occupy one's time, because the accomplishment of tasks does not make boredom go away, only the process does. With this lesson, Akira realizes that too much of a good thing can also be counterintuitive to enjoy life, and decides to take his time in completing his bucket list, but not before enjoying a moment to do nothing at all, and indulge in the simple pleasure of passing the time. The final lesson about happiness is that the factors that created it in the first place cannot be hoarded. In other words, once happiness is secured, the fastest way to lose it is to become greedy. This lesson is exemplified in chapter 34, when after having struggled to create a profitable bar as part of Akira's bucket list, Akira and his 2 rugby companions realize that in order to make their bar successful, they need to create an enjoyable experience for their customers. Shortly after becoming a financial success, Akira begins to alienate his own customers and raises prices without his companions' consent. Blinded by the prospect of wealth, Akira buys his way into the Osakan elite and becomes a canned food mogul, much to his bucket list companions' dismay. What we learn, however, is that Akira is actually miserable after realizing that everything the Osakan elite talk about is status and the acquisition of money. It isn't until chapter 35 when his ex-rugby teammate Takeru Minakata levels the playing field by redistributing Osaka's entire wealth by winning a casino game that Akira snaps out of his wealth accumulation disorder. This act, of course, resetting Akira back to a point of economic normalcy. Greed or self-interest after reaching prosperity is shown to destroy one's happiness, because similarly to having an excess of freedom, the acquisition of wealth or positive experiences only has diminishing returns. When one becomes greedy and wants to maximize wealth or positive experiences, their happiness becomes tethered to the intangible concepts of having more, as opposed to the experiences created by them. Akira had reached a level of contentedness leading up to the development of his greed complex, and as a result, no longer found joy in what he was doing, so he turned to the pursuit of status, which ultimately left him with nothing. The lesson here, then, is that in order to enjoy what one has, they must share it to avoid conflating their happiness with the capital itself, and rather associate it with the experience of obtaining it. As of now, Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is ongoing, and as a result still has many more lessons to teach about happiness. In summation, Zom 100 was never about zombies, but rather an exploration about what it truly means to be happy. So though the series revolves around the exploits of those surviving a zombie apocalypse, its lessons are meant to teach us how to survive outside of one.